welcome to The Other Three Amigos, Los Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast with Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. So sit back, put the feet up, because it's toe tap time. In this episode, Pathchats galore, challenges with media relations, and the FAI, the impact of injuries on teams, an insightful interview with Kylie Murphy, concerns about talent development, weekly match reviews, and much more. Welcome to Los Damas.
Hello and welcome to Toe Tap Las Damas, Season 4, Episode 25, Episode 235 of the full Toe Tap offering. We are the award-winning podcast. We are now on Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/toe tap. Retweet. It is very important to help the pod grow. And as always, our DMs are always open. Once again, my name is Declan McCormack and I am your host of Toe Tap Las Damas. And as always, I'm joined by my amiga, Eileen Ring.
Good evening, lads. How are you?
Very good, Eileen. You stepped out of your comfort zone this week and conducted your first ever interview. How did that experience enrich your life?
I'm not sure it enriched either mine or Kylie's life, but do you know what, I'm learning, and sure, the only way I can learn is by doing. So it wasn't very good, but look, the only way is up. It can't get any worse.
It was very good, and the listeners will hear it
Thanks,
later
Declan,
on. So, no, it
my
was
mum will
very
tell
good.
me it's good as well, so it's okay.
John, did you do anything new and exciting this week?
I watched a lot of football, but I also saw the wonderful Lisa Hannigan live last night, and I remembered that I love her dearly and have done for 20 plus years. Yeah, she's amazing. One of Ireland's real treasures. One of Ireland's best singing voices as well.
Does this mean that Karen Duggan has been demoted on your list of lovelies?
That does ruin my heart for everyone, Decky.
That sounds off, doesn't it? John O'Sullivan's list of lovelies, Lisa Hannigan and Karen Duggan. You know what I mean? Who takes
it's a lot longer than that, I'll tell you.
Right, we won't ask, we'll move on. Guys, since we have been away in the last week in Irish women's football, Jess Hennessey has left Shamrock Rovers and joined Nottingham Forest for a fee. Eileen, this is the first time for the league that a player has been sold for a fee. Good news?
I think so anyway, yeah, great news. It's, look, to be fair to Shamrock Rovers, as much as we give out about them, they obviously are offering pro contracts, and that's this is a plus to having players on contracts that you're entitled to a fee. I think that's why this league is probably pillaged so much for its players, because there's never a fee. So yeah, look, it just goes to show that if you are willing to step up and offer players a professional contract, that if they kick on, and it's a very young league, so a lot of these players will kick on and get opportunities elsewhere, that you know, there may be money to be made in the women's game. Who knew?
Yeah, like, to be fair now, we said when Casey Howe joined Nottingham Forest that we felt she was maybe going a little below her level. Would you have the same thought about Jess? Even though we understand that Nottingham Forest are investing heavily and are, you know, a club who will look to be promoted to the Championship at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah, and I suppose after Casey Howe went in, and I kind of looked into Forest, and that does seem to be the case. They are investing heavily. Some cynics are saying it's maybe to balance out financial fair play, but look, that is benefiting the women's side at the moment. Similar kind of issues at Newcastle, where they're suddenly investing very, very, very heavily in their women's side. But look, for players here who are going over and you're getting a contract, you're making a decent wage, it's brilliant. And said, look, they're obviously a club they've made some big signings, like players who would have played in the WSL for years as well. So like, they obviously are a club on the up. So said, I think it's a great place for them to be now, especially because you're coming in and you're going to build and you'll grow with the club as well. So yeah, no, look, as I said, once they're making a good wage and a good living over there, I think that's really, really important.
I wonder, would that club be interested in investing heavily in its women's podcast output? Could be interesting.
I'm not sure where that stands with financial fair play, Declan, but look, you could check.
Look.
You don't want to rule it out?
There's nobody podcasting here interested in fair play anyway. Maybe finance a little bit, but no interest in fair play. John, this week, and we don't want to dwell on this stuff, and it's probably the last time we'll ever mention it, but we do have to say we sent an email. Well, a couple of weeks back, I sent an email to the FAI respectfully asking for our accreditation to be returned, because when Ken Kieran was in Turner's Cross that day for the Bows game, I was told that we couldn't conduct the interviews inside the ground because we weren't accredited media. I sent an email to the FAI, to the league office. It was CC'd, it was sent to Mark Scanlon, I don't mind saying it. It was CC'd to the communications guys in the league. It didn't receive a reply. So I think it was 6 or 7 days later, I went back again. And the reply I got was from the comms department that basically said we should go talk to Cork City, and if we don't know who to talk to, here's a list of telephone numbers. I answered that email by saying that reply is a load of nonsense, it's disrespectful. And like the initial email had made the point about Galway coming on a Wednesday night and the disrespect that would be shown to the likes of Phil Shrell and the players to be interviewed on a footpath at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night. To me, the reply basically said the league office don't care. We had a chat about it and we reached out to Cork City before the Galway United game. John, you wrote the email. You signed the email. We haven't received a written reply, which we did request. But all we can say is that we got a phone call from the club. You got a phone call from the club. And basically nothing's changing. They're saying that they're not going to allow unaccredited media conduct interviews in the ground. And it's just a complete chicken and eggs nonsense situation now where the FAI are hiding behind Cork City are hiding behind the FAI. And the basic fact of the matter is nothing is going to change. We're just going to press on as we have been for the last 9 months or so.
Yeah, look, I wrote the letter because obviously I write the programme for Cork City, and I thought, we'll offer an olive branch. I made the same point that you could have, we got Phil Trill and Julianne Russell after the game on Wednesday night, and they were brilliant to give their time, but it's pitch dark outside in the outside Turner's Cross, and I'd made that point as well. Look, that it just looked bad, and people weren't getting why Cork City were doing it, and it's just reflecting badly on the club really at this stage. Look, I had a very cordial chat, or civil chat, but look, the fact of the matter is things aren't going to change, and I'm kind of done with it now. It is what it is. We'll just drive on. It's not going to stop us doing what we do, and we'll just continue to promote the women's game. It's just a pity. Again, look, I don't want to be belabouring the point because people don't really probably want to be listening to it, but I just think it's incredibly sad that the only club that isn't featured or given any profile by the podcast, and we're doing quite well, to be honest, let's call a spade a spade, are Cork City players, and that's the team we support. So, but look, I don't want to be talking about it anymore. We've offered an olive branch. It was politely shut down because they don't like the pods, or they don't like the pod family, shall we say, and they don't like people involved. So it is what it is. We'll drive on, wind it up, and keep going.
But I just
now, if you could see the camera of the other two now as I'm saying that, winding me up.
No. Eileen is pointing at me, making dickhead signals, So,
well, I didn't want to say it.
Well, I've no problem saying it because the large part of the problem is here, and I've no problem saying that. What I would say, Eileen, very quickly is that they're two different podcasts. They're two different operations. It's like saying Walker's Crisps and Match of the Day are the same thing because they're both come out because Gary Lineker is in both, It's just there needs to be distinction between the two outlets, and there is none. They don't like me, that's okay. They don't like the men's podcast, that's okay. But it is what it is, and I said we're just not going to talk about it anymore, I think, unless there's anything you want to say, Eileen.
Yeah, like I'm done talking about it, but I am probably going to continue to tweet pictures of players out on a curbside, to be honest, because I just think it's awful. And like, I'm involved in women's sport all my life, and I know more than anyone how much women's sport has to fight tooth and nail to get every little inch they can get. And then to see it just being so blatantly just disrespected, really, like, it galls me deep down. And then I suppose, as John said, it's the fact that it's the club I support kind of galls me a little bit more. But yeah, look, everybody that we've dealt with at the other clubs have been so gracious with their time. They've been so understanding. Like, Kylie Murphy stood in the lashing rain. Her wife took my child into her car to keep her dry. Like, do you know what I mean? I mean, this is the class of the people we're dealing with in this league. And I spoke to some Cork City players' parents leaving the ground, and they were like, this just is ridiculous. This doesn't make sense. Our girls are the one that are paying the ultimate price. And I said, yeah, pretty much. So look, it's a shame. As I said, I was originally kind of a bit bull tick, as you know, and we're like, well, who's going to stop me talking to someone inside the ground? But look, I don't want to be putting people in an awkward position. So once I had sat down and realised it would not be a good look for me to be kicked out of the ground, and it said putting someone in an awkward position, I did speak to Kylie outside the ground at the weekend, and look, we'll continue to do that. But I am going to keep highlighting it on my Twitter or X or whatever it's called, and on social media, because I think it needs to change, and I think the women's game deserves more respect and just park. Like, I mean, the men's podcast, like, the two lads don't even listen to this. Like, they'll never know this conversation was had because they don't listen to it. Do you know what I mean? So, like, to not be able to differentiate between the two pods, to me is madness. But look, we move and we'll keep doing our best, and I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, I said I was going to say anything else. I'm going to say one more thing.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Dickie. Look, I was never the owner of Cork City. I was the owner of Cork City along with 700 people when the supporters owned the club. It was the chairperson of the club. You have to grow a thick skin. Like, the stuff that was said to and about me when I was the chair. Like, we lost a home game to Shelbourne after we had extended Tommy Dunn's contract in 2011. Someone spat in my face outside the cross, like, and you have to grow a thick skin. So the odd little comment here and there on social media and from three lads on a podcast, do you know, the players don't have an issue with it, the management don't have an issue with it, the staff don't have an issue with it. Do you know, like, add a few layers of skin there. And I'll shut
Cork City
up now.
were relegated. Cork City were relegated last year. I mean, there's levels to stuff as well. But the one thing I will say, and I said, like John, I said I'd say no more. Just one thing: the FAI are getting away with absolute murder here. Absolute murder. They're getting away with. They're hiding behind technicalities. They're hiding behind clever language in emails and whatnot. They're not answering. They're not responding to emails. They're getting away with murder. Absolute murder, because the League of Ireland, if they wish, could sort this out very, very quickly. They don't want to. They view this as an internal Cork thing. They don't care that it's the only women's National League podcast. And I don't get angry. I laugh at the whole situation, because if they told me I had to stand on my head balls naked on the Curra Road to do the interviews, I'd do that. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. The problem is...
enough to get anyone to do it with you, though. I can't imagine they'd be lining up for those interviews, actually.
But you know what I mean? But I actually got angry when I was sitting in the stand in Limerick yesterday, and you tweeted the photo of Kylie Murphy. 300 games in the league, 100 goals, and she's standing in the pissing rain outside Turner's Cross doing an interview. Julianne Russell scored in Páirc Uí Chaoimh for Ireland. Scored twice for Galway. Probably player of the year. 10:15 at night. And she was brilliant. She was fantastic. Phil Trill, an absolute gentleman. We did his interview on the bus so that we weren't out in the dark and out in the cold. The disrespect being shown here is incredible. It's not been shown to me. It's not been shown to this podcast. It's been shown to the league. It's been shown to the players, the management, and the other clubs in this league. And the FAI are allowing it to happen. The league office are allowing it to happen. I've always backed Mark Scanlon, but he's made a dog's bollocks of this situation. And I have no problem in saying it. And I tell him to his face whenever I meet him again. An absolute dog's bollocks they've made of this situation. And I hope every other club in the country tells them as well, because they deserve to be told. Anyway, that's the last we will ever mention of it. Right, as I said, I was in treaty last night, and unfortunately, we had spoken about Chloe Singleton's injury, and we had said a couple of weeks ago how Kerry-Ann Brown was stepping out of the shadows, was in to replace her. And obviously, she went off injured last week. And I asked Kieran Kilduff last night about that injury, and here's what he had to say.
No, Kerry won't be back either. She's had a knee issue as well. Obviously, we've compounded, obviously, and Casey as well got a bad bang, and she moved to Forest, Chloe as well. So we're not that you need a bit of luck or anything like that, but you were not probably at times, whether that ball crossed the line or not tonight, you're probably saying, no, maybe I got a bit of luck there, but in the physio room, we're not having any really at the minute. But no, Kerry's season's finished now as well, and Chloe. But as I said, obviously to both of them, they'll both have big roles to play around the group. Chloe's here tonight, and Kerry's had a tough week getting herself sorted and probably digesting the news she got. But both of them be big players for the future, but not between now and the end of the season.
Then to add to that bad news, Anna Uliak, the Treaty United keeper, left the game in the first half last night. They had Katie Irwin injured last week, so I asked Dominic Foley about both of those injuries.
Yeah, it seems like she's done a calf muscle from first inspection. And obviously we've Katie out then with a torn ligament in her finger. Her top of her finger is just dropping, so she'll be in a splint for 6 weeks or so. So, look, what can you do? Jenna was next in line and in she went, and I thought she did very well for a young girl coming in, so fair play to her, and we might have to rely on her more.
So there we have it. Unfortunately, Eileen, Kerry-Ann Brown is done for the season. It sounds like Katie Irwin 6 weeks in a finger splint. That probably sounds like the end of the season as well. And Anna Uliak has done her calf muscle, which will inevitably be probably the end of the season as well. So 3 desperate pieces of news coming out of the Markets Field last night.
Yeah, an awful description there from Dominic. The top of her finger is falling down. I was like, ew, that sounds awful, but yeah, that's most unpleasant. Yeah, really, that's tough, like to lose your first 2 keepers. And now, to be fair, the girl that went in is their under-19s keeper, I think, Jenna, and I thought she did very, very well. And like, look, this is it. It's kind of a baptism of fire now for the last few games, but like that Treaty side has a lot of really experienced players, and I think they'll help her through. And like, look, of course she wasn't probably expecting to play at senior level this soon, but we've a lot of very young goalkeepers that are excelling in this league, and why can she not be the next one up in line? So best of luck to her. Sickened for Kerry-Ann Brown. I did think when she went off the week before that it looked quite serious. But like, she was just in such good form, wasn't she? She's a really, really good player. And yeah, Athlone, Kieran's probably right there. Like, the goal last night, whether it is or isn't a goal, like maybe they were due that little bit of luck, the way injuries have fallen for them the last few weeks.
Yeah, John, Athlone, like, I mean, I know it's next person up every time, but like, that's a huge blow for them again. Although the only thing I will say again is that I thought Kate Slevin came in last night and played very, very well, and maybe lessened the blow of losing both Singleton and Kerry-Ann Brown for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, Eileen made this point weeks and weeks ago. Actually, possibly before any injuries had happened in Athlone, that even when someone was having a bad game or a bad spell, someone else within the squad would step up. And it's happened in a much more serious and somber circumstance, with the news about Chloe and Kellyanne, like that other players are just grabbing the bull by the horns and driving on. Shauna Brennan, I know she's at a different position. She was outstanding yesterday. Kate Slevin was outstanding yesterday. Roisin Malloy, brilliant again. Like they're digging in, and it's even more impressive considering who they've lost over the last few weeks. Like it's crazy. And then look, obviously they lost Casey Howe to transfer as well, so it even makes it more impressive what they're doing. But yeah, it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate altogether.
Speaking of Roisin Malloy, obviously she hit the crossbar last night. She scored a brilliant goal, but afterwards she gave us a world exclusive. I asked her, I said I'd heard a rumour that she was sleeping in toe tap Las Damas pyjamas. Here's what she told us.
Yeah, I'm definitely Las Damas' biggest fan, and Laurie Ryan, our captain, has invested in a pair of pyjamas for me with the with the logo and the Eileen ring, with Eileen ring on them. So yeah, I'm definitely last Damas' biggest fan.
That's great to hear. And is it true there's Eileen ring posters in the bedroom wall and things like that?
We haven't gone that far yet, but we'll see.
So guys, we need to talk first to Laurie Ryan about robbing our logos and merchandise and all those things, and charge her a fee for licensing and those kind of things. But we'll deal with that at another time. Roisin Malloy sleeps in Last Damas pyjamas, Eileen. I mean, I don't think the world gets any better than this, does it?
It really doesn't. Like, now I sleep in Roisin Malloy pyjamas as well, so we should add that. You know what I mean? To be fair, for balance here. And I do have posters of her on my wall. No, brilliant. I genuinely thought they were taking the piss, so I did message Laurie and she sent me a picture. So the picture is on my Twitter of the pyjamas. They're very busy, but they're nice. Do you know, I'd wear a pair myself, to be honest. I think they're nice. But yeah, look, it's good crack and fair play to them. And yeah, as I said, it gave me a great laugh now this morning, to be honest, after I was a bit dejected with standing in the rain last night. It's nice balance, isn't it?
It is. It's funny. And do you know what? Fair play to them. At least they're buying into the spirit of things. I know, John, we know what to get Eileen for Christmas, because she just said she would wear a pair of the toe tap pyjamas for Christmas. So we'll have to contact Laurie and find out who's making them, and we'll get them sorted. John, at the FAI AGM yesterday, it was announced that the FAI ETP programme was being defunded, and the League of Ireland clubs are effectively going to be responsible for developing talent now. You called it grim, so do you want to expand? Tell us why you think it's grim.
Yeah, look, I tweeted yesterday like this was grim, and a few people got back to me in DM and a few people replied to me, and they all came from it from the men's point of view, and very much in mind of what it would mean for the men's national team. Where and you know, some people are making the point, there's actually, if you look at it, they're gone to 24 centres of excellence rather than 8, because there's 24 clubs and all this was going on. But it's grim because it's the continued defunding and disintegration of the FAI's responsibility to develop talent in the country. And it's incredibly grim for women's football, in my opinion. Like, we had a situation not so long ago, but a good while ago at the same time, where we had really good RDOs right across the country. And we still have really good RDOs. And for those that don't know, RDOs are regional development officers. Like James Scott, who's the under 17 manager, was at the RDO in North Tip. He was exceptional. Stephen Quinn, who's managed Wexford's senior team and is back in there with the 19s. He was the RDO in South Tip, exceptional. Tom Elms, Barbara Birmingham. There's names all over the country of people doing fantastic work as RDOs. That was cut by the FAI like scandalously during the 2010s, and those people are massively underfunded. We had 12 ETP centres in the country, emerging talent programmes. That was reduced to 8 centres of excellence, and we lost kids straight away because some of the centres of excellence were taking in catchment areas that were like 2 hours away from where the kids would have been driving. So there was expectation suddenly on, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds to, give a 4-hour round trip on a school night to go, train for an hour and a half, let's say in Waterford or, other parts of the country. But the big issue with this is, apart from the FAI's cowardice and lack of financial acumen in recent years, you can keep pointing to John Delaney and you can keep saying and he was a disaster, and the more that comes out, the more we learn about that. But he's been gone a while now, and it's not not exactly getting any better. But effectively, what you have here is you've got. And I take this from a women's point of view. You've effectively privatised football development in the country, and you've handed over the development to a number of clubs who Some of them are excellent, but a lot of them have little interest in developing female players because there's no financial incentive to do it, because there is no €500,000 transfer at the end of it. There is no structure here where there's a financial reward for developing women. And as well, like, one of the clubs now that have been handed the future of, would say, women's football in the northeast of the country are Dundalk, and they're an absolute basket case, and they may not be around come Christmas. And
sorry, John, could I just cut across you there for a second? It's everywhere tonight that Dundalk are gone. That Ainscough is filing for bankruptcy and that they're gone this week. No, I'm just saying that. No, that's what's on WhatsApp, everywhere else. I've checked it with one person who would be in the know, and they've just come back to me there in the last 30 seconds and saying it's looking grim. So, yeah,
I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that. But look, that's the thing. Like, you know, like, it's, you have a situation now, and I'm going to take Cork as a particular example. You have a Cork Centre of Excellence that's taking kids in at probably taking in under 12s and going all the way up to under 16s. And some of those will naturally come into Cork City. But now you've got maybe a situation where you've got 30 to 40 girls at every age group from 2000, you know, from under 12s up to under 16s. And suddenly you've whipped out a huge chunk of that and you're handing it over to Cork City. And there's going to be 20 girls under 17 and 20 girls under 19. So you've probably chucked 60 kids that have potential, that are identified as having massive potential, you know, to one side. And the other side of that is those 40 girls that do get into Cork City. Go ahead, Techie, sorry.
So I was just going to ask the question, where do the 40 girls at under 17 come from if there's no development at under 12, 13, 14 and 15?
The only place they can come from then is the schoolgirls leagues, individual schoolgirls leagues. So the Gaynor Cup, because that's, you know, like the 30 individual SFAI camps who already have iffy relationships with some League of Ireland clubs all over. That's who's going to be responsible for developing kids to League of Ireland academies now. Like the additional training with professional, qualified, passionate coaches that they were getting at COEs from regional development officers will be gone. But the other point then is those 40 kids of the 100, 150 that will make it into Cork City, they're paying 750 quid a year for the privilege of playing underage League of Ireland. Like, I don't know if that's the fee structure at every club across the country, but you're going to have kids that are being looked after and developed for free by the FAI, other than the cost of transport. Not all of them are going to be able to afford to pay to play. And it's like I said, it's the privatisation of developing women in the country. And I think it's one of the most appalling, despicable and backward actions that are an appalling, despicable and backward organisation at times has done in years. And I'll shut up now.
No, devil's advocate, John, but is this not how it's done in the rest of Europe? Is football development not privatised fundamentally in the rest of Europe, and we're just going the same road now?
No, I don't actually think it is how it's done.
Right.
You do tend, so you would have academies in clubs. Dorothea Gruel, the place for Cork City, is a great example. She went into a really good club that had Champions League pedigree. She was developed there from 12. It was effectively football schools associated with clubs that were being developed, and she got a football education. But that's a completely different model than what Ireland is capable of doing right now. And there isn't a single League of Ireland club that is going to push a year at 2000, we'll say at an under 12s, under 13s, under 14s, under 15s, under 16s, under 17s girls program together to develop women for their senior team and potentially go on to an international side. That's the FAI's job. And we will end up again developing kids by default. and we don't have the option to ship them off to England anymore on the boys' side, and it's a massively backward step on the women's side.
Last question on it, John. Isn't the whole developmental programme now there to be done via this Apple money? There's 13 billion there for a very, very, very small percentage of that. No, I'm not giving it to the clubs, and I'm certainly not giving it to the FAI. I'm doing it some other way, however way that may be done. But for a very, very, very small percentage, if you put 10 million into the League of Ireland, even between men and women, you can do so much. Is with this money there? No, it's either done now or it's never done. Surely be to God.
Yeah, well, it's a good point. I mean, that money has to be used for something. It's pure bonus money, so why not giving kids a better chance, not just in sport, in the arts and everything else, but put it into the next generation, give them some kind of hope. But yeah, I would be a big advocate for a bit of spending. Like we're hosting the Euro, whatever it is, 2028. We've big conversations about Casement Park. It's such a ball of nonsense to be bringing in Euro 2028 to Ireland, and a big fall to Ireland and a big tourism trap. We can't even wipe our own arses. Like, it's just an absolute fur coat, no knickers nonsense. We can't even develop kids, and we're going to be parading ourselves around as the greatest thing since sliced bread with our playing in Croke Park and stadiums that aren't even soccer stadiums. Like, it's just a joke. And like the money that will go into that absolute white elephant of nonsense of Euros 2028 could have been spent so much better by the FAI. But anyway, that's my. I predicted a 20-minute rant, but
okay, we'll move on. So, John, to your other favourite subject, the underage stuff. The under-17 Academy Cup semi-finals were this weekend. Shamrock Rovers beat Galway 2-1 and Athlone beat Bohemians 1-0. In the under-17 Tier 1, it finished Shelbourne 3, Cork City 5. Tier 2 North was Finn Harps 2, Longford 1, Dundalk 1, Mayo 0, and Tier 2 South was Pats 3, Kerry 2, Bray 3, CK United 1, and DLR 3, Peamount 3. I guess the two cup semi-finals there, John, wins for Shamrock Rovers and Athlone.
Yeah, they were the top two teams in the Tier 1 North. In the round 1 North, and they've had a fantastic ding dong all year. So it should be a cracking final. Two brilliant sides.
Yeah, and in the under-19 league, Tier 1, it was finished at Athlone 2, Bows 0, Shelbourne 3, Shamrock Rovers 1. Tier 2 North, DLR 1, Galway 3, Sligo Rovers 1, Peamount 2, Dundalk 2, Finn Harps 0. And Tier 2 South, Bray Wanderers 1, Waterford United 3. Or Waterford, are they United City, just Waterford? What are they these days? Anyway, it doesn't matter, who cares? And
Waterford
Cove,
FC,
Yes, Lord.
Waterford FC. Cove 0, CK United 3. Where's that jail cell noise that I have? I won't bother. Anyway, so on we go. Actually, did you want to mention, John, that Fiona Bradley got a goal and assist for Waterford today?
I was waiting for you to do it, Declan.
Okay, so we're good. On to Saturday, the match reviews kicked off at the UCD Bowl on Saturday. DLR 0, Galway 4. Galway came to Cork last Wednesday night. You can hear the audio with Julianne Russell on our Twitter. We AI'd that up in a little cartoon character. It's good fun. And Phil Trill's audio, I did 7 or 8 minutes with Phil on the Galway United bus. That is all on our Twitter, our links on our Twitter to take you to Spotify for that Phil Trill interview. Galway were 3-0 up in Cork City inside 15 minutes, and they repeated the dose on Saturday, Eileen. 3-0 up against DLR, 15 minutes gone, and it allowed them to just coast home. Julianne had spoken about how, they were getting tired and there might be issues in that DLR game, but came out of the blocks like a greyhound and put it to bed early, which just allowed them, as I said, to coast home then.
Yeah, and I think obviously City came back a bit at them at last Wednesday night, but like I think they've had 5 games in 14 days, and it's no joke, and a lot, like they've had a lot of away trips in that as well. But like, I suppose from Phil's point of view, and even from the players' point of view, and I know Jamie Erickson was interviewed by Aaron Clark after the game, like, and she said, like, there was a lot of heavy legs, and I understand that, but like, to come out and just, like, the game's done by 10 minutes, like, do you know, it's 2-0, and like, I suppose for DLR in particular, like, the fact that they had given up the 2 goals in City and kind of allowed them maybe a little bit of hope on Wednesday night, they weren't going to do that a second time. Like, they're just too astute and they're too experienced to decide to let it happen. But no, like, I think they've handled the 14 days and everything excellently. Like, the only game maybe that it showed a little bit was down in Ferry Carrig last week. I thought they looked leggy in the second half, but like, not at all in Turner's Cross the other night on the Wednesday. And again, now maybe did they take the foot off the gas a little bit in DLR? I think they probably did. But like, at the same time, I'm sure if I'm looking at like the GPS stats off all of them, like, it's still like their work rate is really incredible, and it's a really high level of fitness from them. But I think what's good for them is the goals are all coming. They're like, there's different people putting their hands up again, and he's able to rotate that squad now. He has a very, very strong squad, and like Jamie Erickson pops up with a really, really good header. I think Amanda Smith was it, and Emily Kavanagh. Like, Emily Kavanagh's goal, no, terrible defending, like, because she runs completely unchallenged for a really long way. But no, as I said, I think professional. I just wonder, have they maybe left themselves a little bit too much to do? As I said, like, the kind of season is closing in now, and I think Athlone, we always say like points in the table are better than games in hand, but Athlone have the points in the table and the games in hand, so that's kind of helpful enough from their point of view. But I enjoy watching Galway. I think they're a really, really well coached side, and as good a side as they are and as attractive a brand of football they play, I think the most impressive thing about them is their work ethic. Like, and I think they're a brilliant example for any young side to watch, because as much as they do the really fancy stuff at the game, they're brilliant at the really ugly side of the game that you have to be good at, and you're never going to be successful if you're not very, very good at that. So but from DLR, again, like, they're just quite up and down, I think, but I don't want to be too harsh on them, because I just thought hard to kind of touch Galway. We're in that form of the first 15 minutes in particular.
Yeah, John, we always speak about, you know, bye weeks and weeks off and that kind of thing, but I feel like next weekend off, because the cup games are on, it suits Galway. They need that break, I think, at this stage, just to allow them to recharge the batteries a little.
Yeah. I think Eileen's right. Like, they came out, absolutely 100 miles an hour again. But once they were 3-0 up, like, DLR did come back into it, and the game settled down a little bit. But I think just Galway's press wasn't as aggressive, it wasn't as high at that stage. But they didn't need to. You know, their work rate was amazing. Like there was times when Julianne Russell and Rolla were back, like, defending as well when they needed to, when they were under any pressure, but they didn't need to press up too high. The only other thing I'd say is, like, they didn't start Jenna Slattery, they didn't start Kate Thompson, didn't start Lindsay McKee. I thought Isabella Beletic absolutely ran the show. She was just brilliant. Like, there was periods of times in the first half where, like, every time a DLR player got a ball in possession, they turned around to look for an option. It wasn't even that she was, physically aggressive, just her position, and constantly she was just cutting out everything. She was cutting out options rather than the ball, if you know what I mean. But I thought she was magnificent. Like, and Laura Hefner will be disappointed with the first and third goals. I think like Julianne Russell does make a good run to give the space for Emily Kavanagh to come through. But again, like Eileen said, too easy. Like, but Galway's work rate, again, like Eileen said, just fantastic.
Can I just say, I know I said I spoke to Phil Trill for 8 minutes or so on Wednesday night, and the last thing I mentioned was about, one of the most underrated players in the country, and I mentioned Therese Kennevy, and Phil is genuinely, he's the nicest man in Ireland. And if he didn't give out to me afterwards, but he kind of chastised me in the nicest man in Ireland way, Eileen, because he said, I can't believe when you were talking about underrated players, you didn't bring up Belichick, and he was correct. I made an error in not doing so, but it was only last week you were talking about her as being an outside shot for player of the year. So, she hasn't gone under the radar maybe as much as she may have done. if this podcast didn't exist.
When you have 3 people watching every game every weekend, yeah, we've kind of noticed them all. But look, that's the thing. I think like this league is blessed with the quality of player, and like there's going to be players at every club, and like if you're Phil and you're obviously watching her training and in matches and you're watching her very, very closely, you could see how good she is. And I think Lindsay McKee spoke really well of her in commentary as well about how much she does. But yeah, I think as a league in general, we're fairly flush in that 6 role there, and like they're just players who go under the radar because they're not going to score like double figures of goals or assists, but they just do all the donkey work. And I think it was at Bowes and Peamount, Avril Brearley said that they nicknamed Fiona Donnelly the lawnmower. And I think there's a couple of lawnmowers in the league because they cover so much grass. Like there's definitely a few of them there. And I think Isabel is another one. And yeah, she's going to be in the mix. Like we're going to be giving out about it inevitably. But like I do feel incredibly sorry for whoever has picked that team of the year at the end of the season, because it's an impossible task. Like.
It is an impossible task. In my head, there's a clear player of the year winner at the moment. I'm not going to say who it is because they may not win the league, and then that may influence things. But yeah, I'm very clear on who in my mind is the player of the year so far anyway. But we'll get into that at a later date. Are we happy so that Galway have next week off and they're right in the title race? But I mean, by the time they play again, Wexford will have played Athlone at home, and Galway could technically be 5 points off Athlone. And would that be a bridge too far, Eileen?
No, but there's no, like, I don't think Athlone have an easy run in either, like, but no. Either do Galway, and the fact they play each other in the last game of the season, like that Galway and Shelburne game, I think is going to knock one of them out, and it'll become a 2-horse race. And look, they'll be hoping that Athlone drop points somewhere, and look, you kind of don't want to rule that out happening. But I think the 3 managers at the 3 clubs are just going to be saying, put your head down, worry about yourselves right now, and don't think about anything else, because you can only look after yourself, and that's all you can control, your own results, you know.
All very true. Well, while that was happening, Cork City 0, Wexford 0 was happening in Turner's Cross. That was Cork City's first scoreless draw of the season, Eileen. And I have here in my notes, awful shite, but it had to be that way to a degree, because Cork City conceded so many goals in the 3 previous games. Their first priority had to be to just dig in, get a scoreless, keep the opposition scoreless, and then see if you can build on something from that point.
Yeah, like we were very leaky at the back the last 3 or 4 games, like, and no matter what combination or what formation they were playing. And look, to be honest, like, I think there's probably been a bit too much changing there as well. Like, you have to, if something doesn't work after one game, you can't just suddenly kind of pull the oh shit handle and just change it up. Like, you have to give combinations a little bit of time, especially with a young side like City are. But yeah, it wasn't a very good game. Look, they did completely cancel each other out. I thought Wexford were probably the better side in the first half. Una made some good saves, and she made a very, very good save from Ciara Roster early in the second half as well. I think what stood out to me beyond City's, I suppose, the fact that they kept a clean sheet, was their fitness. Like, coming in that last 20 minutes, they just looked much fitter side, and like a massive mention has to go to Orla O'Regan, who does the strength and conditioning, because like that's not something we see in a City side previously. And like, if there was another few minutes in the game, you'd have fancied them to go on maybe and get a goal, because they were that much in the ascendancy. But yeah, like they kind of, as said, essentially cancelled each other out, which is, I suppose it's a bit rare at the moment in the league, because as we see teams like the likes of City and Wexford, and where all they're kind of playing for is position and as high up they can, you're seeing a lot more open games. And then I got the opposite of it on Saturday. But no, look, there's plenty of positives from City, and I think the big thing for them was keeping a clean sheet. And from a Wexford point of view, I suppose, like, the way the game ended, I think they will have been glad to come out. Some of them were glad to come out there with points. Some of them were not so glad, but like, they're unbeaten in the league for a very long time now as well. So I think for them, yeah, like I think they were a little bit, there was a sense of frustration from Wexford about the level of performance, especially given how well they played against Galway the week before.
John, I'm going to come to you in a couple of minutes, but first I'm going to play Eileen's maiden interview with a legend. And the word legend is thrown around too much, but Kylie Murphy is a League of Ireland legend. So let's see what was said.
Kylie Murphy, you were a guest at my wedding. I was a guest at your wedding, and we've been shunned to the footpath to discuss football today. But thank you. You're joining the pantheon of legends who have joined us previously for our Pathchats. So 0-0 draw today, Kylie. Fair result in the balance of things?
Yeah, probably in terms of the way both teams play it today. Obviously, we were coming down hoping to go away with 3 points, but I don't think we were at it all, and I do think City played well, so a little bit disappointed, but looking back on the game, yeah, definitely probably fair results.
And I suppose, Kylie, like, you're unbeaten now, like in 90 minutes, 2 penalty shootout sites since May. Is there a little bit of regret about how, I suppose, the season started in terms of that slow start, maybe where things could have been for you?
Yeah, absolutely, I think so. But again, I don't think you're going to be listing any trophies in this league by getting draws. So, I mean, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, it's nice to be a good bit higher up on the table. But I mean, we want to be winning games. We want to be competing with the top teams in the league. So, unfortunately, that slow start is after doing us an awful lot of damage, and it's, yourself, you drop a few points in this league, and it's very hard to get back.
Very much. I suppose Wexford are a bit of an anomaly in so much that this season you're 300 appearances. I think Lolly has 200. Did Davine have 100 this season? Yeah. Rossi had 200 this season. Nicola's up over 250.
Yeah.
So probably closing in at 300. That's probably rare enough in that year. That's always one club. Is that just something that's ingrained in you, that loyalty towards Wexford?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very special part of Wexford and what makes Wexford Wexford. And we do tend to, or maybe when we sign players and they come in, they tend to be in for the long haul. Obviously, with the exception of a couple of girls going to play pro and things like that. But it was unfortunate to be losing so many players this year. We were very disappointed about it, but obviously, like, we wish them well and things like that. Yeah, look, it's definitely a big part of Wexford, the loyalty.
And speaking of players moving on, Ellen Malloy, how good can she be?
Sure, look, we know what she's capable of. We know once Ellen stays injury free, I think the world is her oyster. She's a great kid, but she's not only a talent. She has the mentality, and I think that's what's going to make her, like, possibly move on the best players to of Ireland.
Okay, and I'm going to put you on the spot now because I know you. 300 appearances, over 100 goals, one of probably the legends, although I know you won't like me saying it, but one of the legends of the game here. One more year in it?
Oh, God. I thought no.
No comment?
No comment, yeah, no comment.
And just for you, for the rest of the season, I suppose, what is the aim? Just finish up as high as you?
Yeah, look, it's just having a bit of pride now in the crest, isn't it? And getting as much results in as you can and trying to enjoy the rest of the season, because it's quite hard to play it out with nothing to play for, if that makes sense. So we have to have some sort of motivation. So I suppose the likes of the strikers and things like that, wanting to get as many goals and clean sheets, so just small little results that we have to set ourselves, because we have to finish it out as strong as we can.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And look, as I said, you're in the legends now of the Pathchats, so much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
John, I love a big shout. I'm kind of known for them every now and again, but I do think Ellen Malloy might be the best player to come out of Ireland. It's quite a shout from Kylie Murphy.
Yeah, I would never argue with Kylie Murphy's opinion on anything football related. So I'm going to do nothing, but I don't think anyone who is better placed to make that call, and she knows far more than I do about Irish football. So I agree with Kylie. I wouldn't do anything else.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought you'd big up Ellen Malloy anyway. So good to see you didn't miss the opportunity to do so. Eileen, what's your gut feeling? You asked Kylie straight out and she didn't want to really answer it or commit one way or the other, but obviously you're besties because you were at each other's weddings, as we found out there, so what would your gut feeling be? Does she carry on for another year, or does she pack it in at the end of this?
No comment.
We're not going to get an exclusive, are we? That's disappointing.
No, I did. I tried to get us an exclusive, but look, she wasn't budging. So
yeah, and I'm going to be very careful what I say this year, because last year I retired Karen Duggan, and I don't think.
Oh yeah,
it didn't go down. I don't think it went down well. So in a respectful way, I did say Karen might retire, because there was nothing left to achieve. And then Eileen very quickly pointed out that she would obviously want to play Champions League and wouldn't dream of retiring. So this is why Eileen is the pundit and I'm just the fat lad who tries to make stupid jokes every now and again. But yeah, Eileen was proved right again. I think we just park that game there because there's not a whole lot we can say about it. Another game that we should really park, but we can't, is Shamrock Rovers 1, Sligo Rovers 1. I mean, I watched this game, the vast majority of it yesterday live, and we were very, very critical of Kylie O'Neill's comments after the Shelbourne Cup game. But I thought maybe yesterday there was a sense of maybe not Shamrock Rovers players not trying or nothing like that. But it was just, I think when they went 1-0 up early, I think there was almost a feeling like they thought that it was done and that, you know, the goals would just come and they would just flow afterwards. And obviously that didn't happen. And look, please feel free to tell me that I'm being very harsh on them if I am.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of complacency more than anything else, because I think they expected to win. We saw this a lot from them early on in the season, and maybe kind of a sense that just by showing up that they will win. And look, that's not the case. And like Sligo were excellent yesterday. They were very, very good. They stayed in the game and like they concede so early. And the way their seasons went, no one's going to forgive them there for dropping the heads. But I think what was massive was Emma Hansberry started for them. She was so good. Like even when she came off, she was taken off at about 60 minutes. And anytime the camera went to the sideline, Emma Hansberry standing up coaching from the sideline. And it was a really interesting thing to see. But like, not only, I think with her, she freed up Muireann Devaney, who's probably had way more responsibility than she would be used to. And it's probably held her back a little bit. So I thought we got to see maybe the Muireann Devaney that we've seen in the last few years when she was with Athlone. I was like, yeah, I think Rovers, like you could see at times what they're trying to do, but like, I probably will put it back on the manager because obviously you lose Jess during the week. They were excellent last week against Spurs, absolutely outstanding. So you've just one change now to make there. One change. Do I have a very tall footballing centre half on my bench that I can put in? Yes, I do. Has she been the team of the year the last few years? Yes, she has. Shauna Fox, come on in. Nothing changes. But he changed a load of stuff, just instead of making the very one obvious change that doesn't knock everything out that had worked so well last week. So like I think he probably has to take a little bit of that on the chin as well. But yeah, like I said, really impressed with Sligo, and I think for them going into the Cup semi-final next week, they needed that. And I was very impressed with Anna McDaniels, and Bonnie McKiernan was excellent in goal for them as well. She made some brilliant saves. But yeah, I don't get the Shamrock Rovers bench. It is what it is. Like Steph Zambra last week was incredible. Her touch to set up Anya O'Gorman's goals. There's very few players in the league, first of all, see that pass, and second of all, can do that pass. And like, they're struggling to create, they're struggling to score a second, and like, she's their most creative outlet. Like, it's just a very natural thing in her game. And he pulls her off, like, I don't know, very strange. But my favourite highlight of the game was in 81 minutes. Phrases that precede unfortunate events. Previously a game where we would have lost or drawn. And about 6 minutes later, Kerry Lockery popped up to equalise.
Yeah.
I got a great laugh off of that.
Yeah, it was just like, John, I don't know what to make of it. Eileen makes a fair point about Shauna Fox. Now, maybe Shauna wasn't involved last weekend, so maybe there's an injury. Maybe she's coming back from an injury. But, you know, they went. Leo O'Leary came back to left back. Savannah McCarthy went to centre back. You had spoken last week about Steph playing more of a kind of a 10 and behind the front person. She ended up back out right again. And it just seemed to be moving a lot of pieces around. It was like the old John Caulfield substitutions back in the day, where he'd make one substitution on the hour and would need 5 positional changes then to make the substitution work. It was the same kind of thing. So Eileen says you can bring in Shauna Fox directly and you don't need to change anything from what was a very, very, very good performance against Bows the previous week. So, look, I mean, I guess it is what it is. Que sera, sera, as they say.
Yeah, look, Eileen just basically nailed every single little note I had written down there. Like there's not much I can add to it. I agree completely. You assume Shauna Fox is injured because otherwise it's just a no-brainer. I think I even said last week that they'd actually found their best formation, their best lineup with Leah shoved on one side, and Scarlett Hearn and Eva Kelly in the middle with Steph Zamber playing just ahead and Anya wide as well. And yeah, it's just, there were so many changes that they didn't really know how, they didn't seem to be able to work the ball up the wings as well as they have done previously. And maybe some of that's because Leah O'Leary is a bit deeper. I thought it was Hart and Ella Kelly as well, just kind of flung in there. And I don't know if she got enough help or support there. She's still very young, she's outstanding talent, but still very, very young. But look, I thought Sligo were very good after conceding. I thought they were aggressive. Anna McDaniel was brilliant. Emma Hansberry was brilliant. Myrna Devani was brilliant. I thought Kiva Flynn as well, I think, is the only player that Eileen didn't mention in defence, was just strong and bullish and nothing was getting past her. I thought Sligo were, okay, Rovers weren't as good as they have been in recent weeks, but I thought Sligo were really good and really put it up to them and were really aggressive. And I don't think, Rovers were better in the second half, I think. But at the same time, I don't think you could honestly say that Sligo didn't deserve the draw overall. I thought I'd be more inclined to give Sligo the plaudits than spend too much time talking about Rovers, because I do think it was just yeah, like you said, it's they only need to make one change. I'm sure there's someone else could have stepped in, even if Shauna Fox is injured. It seemed a lot of rejigging for the loss of Jess Hennessey.
Undoubtedly, Sligo deserved the point. Undoubtedly, and you could see them grow in confidence the longer they kept themselves in the game. And you could see Tommy Hewitt telling them, just keep yourselves in the game, keep yourselves in the game. And then he instructs the free kick. Just put it in the box, anything can happen. And it does. And look, it's terrible defending. There's no getting away from that. But I think everybody knows I'm not the biggest fan of Kylie O'Neill, and I'd agree with the team selection. But I do think a lot of it falls on the Shamrock Rovers players yesterday. I think, I think you have to go after that game a bit more than they went after. And even, there's rejigging and everything else. But I mean, you have enough players on that pitch. I'm not going to name them all. We all know who they are. There's enough good players on that pitch to raise the level themselves and go and win that game. And as I said if I saw it, I'd call it out. And I think I would put more of that on the players than I would on the bench, to be honest with you. But as John said, I think Sligo deserve an awful lot of credit for their performance, and it'll be interesting to see how they finish out the season on the back of that performance. Anything else to pick up from it, guys, before we move on? No?
Yeah,
okay.
Can I just say really quickly, it's not about the game itself, but Dave and Jury doing the commentary, it sounded like the gantry was going to blow over with the wind constantly through the game. How they kept, it was the cameraman, they made mention of it, was getting blown all over the place. It was a really good product or production, the stream, the commentary, it looked great, but you could hear the wind and you could hear stuff sliding and being thrown around, laptops being slipping on benches and everything. So fair play to the lads for keeping going, because it sounded like it was like a hurricane up there.
Absolutely, fair play is right. Peamount 4, Bohemians 2. Eileen, Bows went ahead twice, were pegged back twice. The way this conversations have gone here in the last month or so, I'm just wondering which one of the two of you is going to step forward to tell me that the first Peamount goal was not the responsibility of Bows keeper Rachel Kelly.
That was the crash. I wrote misjudged cross.
Yeah, I think I have written...
Did you write?
Rachel drops a cross in behind her. So I think, yeah, she's been excellent all year. But yeah, that was, you've got to claim that.
Okay, we're not going to argue so. Yeah, look, shit happens. That's all you say, and we just, everybody moves on. surprising from Peamount, Eileen, or not surprising? I kind of thought that they may come back from the Champions League. You know, it's a long trip. And I felt Bows had a real chance going there. And as I said, they got themselves ahead twice. But Peamount were excellent, especially second half.
Yeah, I think Peamount, and it was it. Avril Brearley was on commentary again, and she was brilliant. And like she spoke about, I suppose the fact while we spoke last week that like in a few weeks they'll be able to look back, but they're kind of hurting at the moment because they feel maybe they left it behind them. And I thought we saw that particularly in the second half. They were really, really good. Some of the goals were brilliant, and there were some excellent performances. Like Ellen Dolan, like Freya Healy came back into the side, and she hasn't been in the side much over the last few weeks. She hasn't even got a lot of time off the bench. And I thought she offered something just totally different from them. But like with Bows, I think it was hard coming off like the result last week, and like Lisa Murphy came back in and she did shore it up a little bit, but at the same time, like there's not a whole pile that can be done about some of the goals. And like, to be fair, she came back off a suspension. Like, I don't know how she didn't get booked yesterday, like because she was falling left, right and centre. It was highly entertaining. And I thought the man in the commentary for Peamount, apologies, I don't know his name, I thought he might have a stroke if she didn't get booked at one point. But no, like, do you know what, it was a fun game, and it was one of those where like there are two sides now that are just kind of playing for position, and you could see maybe managers trying different things and trying players in different places, maybe with a view to next season. And that probably game could be maybe a 0-0 earlier on in the season because they're both being a bit cautious, and like that's gone now. That's gone really for the rest of the season. So like where we were seeing these brilliant defensive performances, I think games are going to be a lot more open for the last few weeks, which from a supporter's point of view, it's great, especially when you have to watch the game back on the Sunday and you know you're going to sit down to watch a 4-2. It's a lot easier to sit down and watch a 0-0. But no, brilliant. And there was two brilliant goals, particular Sarah McKevitt's goal, incredible strike, and then Neil Farrelly had a hold my beer moment and absolute thunder bastard. I did see, I think Karen Duggan retweeted it earlier on, why didn't you pass it, which gave me a laugh. Karen Duggan as well for the third goal. Is it the third goal?
It is, yeah.
It was the second goal. Like she wins the ball in midfield, that sweeping ball out wide, she darts forward, she wins the ball back, and you think she's going to shoot, and she sees Freya Healy in the better position, and like it's a brilliant goal. And as a coach, I think James O'Callaghan's got to be delighted with that. But no, a really, really good game to watch, to be fair to both sides. Jersey's a little bit of a clash, but I will have to mention the Peamount's all black number. Very nice. 10 out of 10, lads.
Yeah, John, the clashing, I nearly said outfits, clashing kits. This like, yeah, the whole women's pod is getting to me now at this stage with the clashing outfits. Clashing kits, John, was just, was a little off-putting, I thought.
Yeah, I turned on the game, and I think it was the first thing I complained about, as I tend to complain a lot in our own group. I thought they were very similar, but again, look, my eyes aren't the best, you know. But actually, I have to say, I haven't. I think it's my first time watching a Bows game where they wore the Dublin bus seats kit. And they're actually quite nice. But the Peamount kits, it's lovely. But look, I think Eileen summed everything up there. It was a cracking game. The only thing I'd add is I thought Avril Brearley was absolutely brilliant on co-coms. And whoever it was that nudged people to put players on co-coms there a few weeks ago might have been Mr. McCormick. It's like, I don't know if it was coincidence or what, but no, she was excellent. Jesus, she was so informative and just really good. Like it's brilliant. More of it.
I'm not taking credit for that one. That was Eileen Ring's one. I might have been the one who said it, but it was Eileen who was in the background who first brought it up. So I ain't taking the credit for it. Right, when all those games were done and dusted, everybody's eyes turned to the Markets Field for the TG Cahir live game. Treaty United 0, Athlone Town 3. First question, guys, was the ball over the line?
It's really hard to tell. The ref seemed to have a really good position on it, but in Indiana. I've gone back and rewinded a good few times. I think it's very, very tight. I'm not sure it was, to be honest, but I guess give the ref the benefit of the doubt because he had a good angle. But I didn't think it was initially.
Yeah, I think, look, obviously I was there. All I can say is if the referee believes it was over the line, then obviously he's correct to give the goal. I have no idea whether it was or it wasn't. All I can say is for absolute certainty, the linesman thought it was a free out that had been given, right? He stood and he stopped and he was waiting for Treaty to take the free out. And then he realised what was going on, so he scuttled back to the halfway line for the goal, right? So I don't know what was going on in the comms and the rest of it, but look, there's fair play to Mark Lynch. If he saw it, he saw it, but you have to be so certain to give a goal there, and I genuinely don't know how he was. But look, it was given, so it was a goal. I caught up with Kieran Kilduff, the Athlone Town manager, afterwards, and we had a quick chat about the game.
Oh, definitely. It wasn't pretty, but we knew we probably had to dig in. We were down here a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't pretty either, and we won 2-1 in the FA Cup quarter-final. So we were well prepped for it. They're a good team. They've got some good players. But I think tonight, we were worth our win. I think we were the dominant team throughout, without maybe being able to put the quality that we have on show at all times. But I think Roisin's goal at the end was probably the moment of quality in the game. The other 2 goals, in fairness to Maddie, though, she's always a threat. I know there was a reflection for the second one and the corner coming in, and you have to play the controllables there as well. You'd seen that he did a keeper coming in, and hopefully their keeper's okay. She looked like she got a bad injury there to her calf, but look, we got over the line 3-0. I think is probably a fair enough result.
Yeah, that first goal in the circumstances with a young keeper in, it's an absolutely brilliant corner just to land it where it's been landed, and I don't know if the ball crossed the line. I mean, can you confirm if it did or it didn't from what you've seen?
I am not doing the old Arsene Wenger and I didn't see it, but I was miles away. I'll have a look back. If it did, it did. We were kind of knocking on the door at that stage without any clear cut chances, and whether it was in or not, I suppose I'd like to think it was, because that gave us the confidence then and opened up the game a little bit more for us, and we could kick on from there. And obviously the first goal is the hardest. I'll be honest, when I look at it back, I wouldn't be lying to you now if I said either way.
Obviously your offensive prowess gets a lot of praise. Obviously we give it a lot of praise week in, week out. You've mentioned before that maybe defensively you're not given the credit that you should be given. Kitty Lawley, Danielle Steer has been excellent since she came in, a real top duo. And to be fair to you, didn't give them a sniff tonight.
No, and boys, that was probably the focus of the week. The fact that we were down here 3 weeks ago, saw how good they were. The training sessions, Raid, myself and Gemma, they were all designed on dealing with those front 2. They're as good as anything in the league, and we have 2 really, really top centre halves in Kylie Shine and Jessie, and I really felt we were comfortable back there tonight. I think we kind of have a few plans from our kickouts, and I think we had our first kick out in the 88th minute, which just probably shows how commanding it felt at times. But look, at any team can hurt you with a moment of quality at any time, and we were always kind of aware of that the whole game, and it's credit to them. I know probably Treaty have been very unlucky this season with a lot of the results. I think they're probably a better team than maybe their points tally reflects. They've got some quality, and we were well aware of that, so we come down here with the utmost respect for them. But as you said, defensively, Katie Keane, the whole back 4, Laurie and Kate in front of us, I thought we looked solid tonight, and we needed to be, as I said, because we probably weren't that a couple of weeks ago down here against them when we saw their quality. So I think we kind of scuppered them somewhat tonight.
Brenda Tabby has come in, as you said, you lost Casey Howe to Nottingham Forest. Subtly or not so subtly, how much work have you had to do to facilitate Brenda as opposed to Casey Howe being that front player?
Very different style, but it doesn't mean she doesn't have strength, and probably every player is different, and when you're surrounding them with the talent we have in Maddie Gibson, Roisin Malloy, these players, Isabel Ryan, they can play with anybody. Do you know what I mean? And Brenda herself has hit the ground running 4-4 before tonight. A real handful, occupies the defenders, and it frees up those girls to score the goals like they did tonight, both Roisin and Maddie on the score sheet. So look at it. She's a different option, but she's still a very effective option. We're delighted to have her, and listen, we haven't really looked back. We're still looking forward, so all good.
And thanks a million for your time, and hopefully we'll see you in DC Park for a final day showdown, and then in Tala for the cup final.
We never know. Thanks a million, Dick.
So that was Kieran's view on a number of different issues that came out of the game. I just want to say again, because when Treaty are forced into the keeper change, dead balls and set plays, John, become a massive part of the game then because you have a young, inexperienced keeper. And the quality of the corner that went in, and we said we don't know whether it was over the line or not, but the quality of the corner that went in to cause that consternation is off the charts.
Oh yeah, and look, to be fair to Athlone, that's probably on field management as well, because they absolutely surrounded Gina Murphy when she came on, from that corner and whipped it right in on top of her. So the execution of the plan was fantastic. Whether it was a goal because it was given, absolutely, brilliant delivery, and led to the goal. I think Kieran kind of summed it up really well there. I think Athlone probably were the better team. I suppose the only thing I would say is on 80 minutes, it's two deflected goals. It's two unlucky goals from a treaty point of view. Before Roisin Malloy's bit of quality, and they made hard work of it. They were a better team, but they didn't make hard work of it. But Roisin Malloy kind of put the icing on top. Then it was. It was an important performance, I think, rather than a good performance. But again, you were there, but the conditions looked absolutely terrible as well the longer the game went on. It's hard to play good football in that, It
was a really, really tough night to play ball in. I haven't seen the TG Carter coverage, so I don't know how it looked on TV, but the wind was howling, and especially the last 20 minutes. It was almost monsoon-like, Kieran walked off the pitch after the game, and he was a drone rat, and he was on the bench with a bit of cover. No, I know he wasn't under it, but it was tough conditions to play. And Eileen, what did we make of Treaty? Because I know Dominic, and I'll play his audio there in a minute, was very, very disappointed with their performance.
Yeah, they were poor. It was one of their poor performances of the season. Look, we always speak quite well of them, but they never really got going, did they? And they obviously had, I suppose, the way the game ended in Tolka and the fact that they had Van Dalder and McCleary back in, I probably expected a bit more of them. But look, you're going to have those nights. And obviously you'll play Dominic's interview in a minute, but even he says that the dressing room is quiet, so they know themselves. But I suppose, look, it's just one of those things, and I did think Athlone were very, very good. They adjusted really quickly to the conditions, and look, Athlone are kind of a bit of a juggernaut at the moment, and I think a bit like Galway and Shelburne, if they hit you early, it can be hard to kind of claw back because nearly the wind's taken out of your sails. And look, one of those nights for Treaty that said they haven't had too many poor performances this season, but that certainly was one of them.
I'm going to play Dominic's audio, and I cut my question out of it. And as I sit here now, I haven't a notion what the first question I actually asked him was. And I want to say I started by asking him and then get his answer. And as I said, I just complete brain meltdown. I have no idea what the question was. So I'm just going to play the audio, and we can maybe guess what the question was when we come back or something,
Disappointed. I think we've had 2 off nights all season, and tonight was one of them. We didn't get going at all, or passing, or control, or even winning 50-50s, second balls. I think we were second to everything. Now, a lot of that can be put down to Athlone as well. Their hunger, their desire, their work rate is top class, and you can see why they are where they are at.
First half, there was a couple of decisions probably went against you. I thought from the stand that there was a fair chance he should have been awarded a penalty before you went 1 down. Then obviously you lose on Eliak, which is a massive blow, and Athlone score. Have you any idea if that ball crossed the line or not? I from the stand, I had none.
We're probably as far away as you are. So, but somebody did say to me that even on review that it's not clearly shown with any TV angle that it's over the line. But look, as I said to Jason Minscott, that's not why we lost tonight. If it wasn't that, it was going to be something else. Over the round of a season, you'd hope you'd win some and lose some, and maybe they could have had a penalty in the second half as well, so it probably balanced itself out on that one. It's probably harsh to be awarded a goal if even TV cameras can't see it, but as I say, in the overall season, you'll win some and lose some.
Can I ask, looking ahead, obviously you need to finish out this season, you have a couple of weeks off now, which probably isn't ideal either, but as I said, looking ahead, do you have players now who are basically playing for contracts for next year, or have you sorted a lot of that stuff already with a view to next year?
No is the answer to that. It's still open, so you could put it that way. I didn't need to look at it like that. The players are playing for contracts, because in fairness to them, every one of them gives a great commitment. They have, as I said, tonight is only the second night that I think we were really off. So they've been top class all season. So the last word on that will be coming down to the club fairly shortly, obviously, as we need to let players know what's happening for next season. So that'll be all done over the next month or so.
When we last spoke here, there was a bit of frustration, I think, from you, that, and we've said it as well, that maybe the results haven't reflected the performances this year from Treaty United. Since then, even last week against Shelburne, I said it on the podcast, you're 4-0 down. A lot of teams could capitulate. You get 2 goals back. I thought it showed a great sign of mental character and mental strength in that. And does it kind of a little bit more disappointing then that, as you said, you haven't showed up tonight?
Yeah, look, I know the girls are disappointed as well. So it was very quiet. It was the quietest that dressing room has ever been while we were waiting around for everyone to come back in. For me, I get the feeling that they're very disappointed, which is good for me, because I am really disappointed for them, because I know the work they put in. And look, no matter who you are, whether you're Real Madrid or you're Treaty United, you will have bad nights. And unfortunately, tonight was one of them.
Absolutely. Look, finally, I just ask you on Athlone, because you mentioned their injury list and everything else. How impressed were you with them tonight, knowing their down bodies, knowing it's a horrible out there, it's windy, it's rain, and they just seem to have this mental toughness, this mental fortitude that just gets them through these situations time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't praise them highly enough. I mean, every tackle, every breaking ball, they were on the front foot. They were organised. They played to their strengths, which is massive. You don't see anybody doing stupid things on the ball or trying to do things they're not capable of it. And I love that in players. Everybody has their strength, so use it. Unfortunately, we didn't do that tonight, but yeah, they're a top-class team as well.
Dominic, thanks a million for your time. Really appreciate it, and best luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks very much.
Okay, that was Treaty United manager Dominic Foley. I actually used the phrase there that I just realised now that I used, and I said that, Treaty didn't show up. That's not true, and I want to apologise for that. That's not the way it was meant to come out. I thought they were quite good at times without the ball, Eileen. It's just they weren't effective offensively, and I think a lot of that was down to Athlone. And I thought, who got the man of the match, or
Brenda.
I had the Irish phrase last week. Who got it?
Brenda
got
Tabby.
player of the match.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Genuinely?
Yeah. She did.
Why?
No, genuinely, yeah.
Why?
I didn't pick it. I'm just telling you, she did.
That's a strange.
You disagree, Deck?
Yes, I do. I do
did.
strongly. That's a strange one.
She did a brilliant Butch Harmon stare down the camera for her interview as well. I really enjoyed it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that's brilliant. But Kylie Shine was unbelievable. Roisin Malloy was unbelievable. I mean,
I thought Kylie Shine and Shauna Brilliant were exceptional.
Yeah.
But again, I don't I wasn't really that bothered by the decision. So that's it.
No, I'm not bothered by it. I was just surprised by it.
You're upset Treaty, and now you're upsetting Brenda. Will you just relax there now?
That's not where I'm going at all. Excellent player, but just wasn't player of the game last night. Sorry, no, like Kylie Shine,
in your
Roisin
opinion,
Malloy, Brennan. In my opinion, Brenda Tabby had an excellent game. I asked Kieran about her. Excellent player, just. No, not player of the game. Anyway, I'm getting myself into shit now for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Stuff I don't even need to
keep digging. It's hilarious.
Yeah, stuff I don't even need to get into. Now I've completely lost my train of thought as well. But look, yeah, fantastic performance from Treaty again. Sorry. Yeah, I thought Treaty were okay without the ball, to be honest with you, a lot of the time. But fantastic performance from Athlone.
What game you were watching?
I don't know.
They weren't good, Declan. You've absolutely hammered them with their manager in the post-game interview. I know you're here now trying to dig yourself out of the hole by saying fantastic performance. It wasn't a fantastic performance, Declan.
No,
they were quite poor.
I didn't say it was fantastic.
Even their manager said it.
I thought they were okay without the ball at times. That's all I'm saying. They did nothing with the ball, nothing with the ball. But as John pointed out, it was the first goal over the line. And then the second one's deflected. I mean, it could have been a Roisin Malloy stunner. Actually, speaking of which, I asked Roisin about the goal and where it would rank in her all-time list of worldies that she keeps adding to.
Oh, definitely.
Wrong button.
Up there was nice to score a goal there. I didn't think it was going to come. I think I hit the crossbar earlier on. So yeah, it was nice to score a goal and an important one to finish out the game. And yeah, I think it was a good performance from everybody.
Start of a big period for you guys. Galway had a massive period the last 2 weeks. How do you feel tonight went, and what are the prospects for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I don't think it was the prettiest performance, or we played our best football or anything, but the most important thing was to get the 3 points and just keep the pressure on, try and get back to the top of the table. But yeah, Galway and Shells have been putting in good performances as well, and yeah, it's really tight, so it's just important to get the 3 points every week now.
Right, guys, anything else from that game that you want to throw that I can try and get myself in more trouble about? Or will we just move on?
You know you're capable of getting yourself in trouble. Move on, I'd say.
Okay, we move on. Well, look what we're moving on to. Next weekend's fixtures, which of course, okay, we'll take the league game first. Shamrock Rovers against DLR. Do I say it? Go on for the crack. Does anybody care?
No, probably not, but 5-5 draw anyway. It's my prediction.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was there's only one game next weekend as far as I'm concerned, to be honest. Like, so.
Yeah.
Look, obviously we're City fans and we've got the FA Cup semi-final, but look, I think Shamrock Rovers will win, and they have to bounce back from what was a very poor performance this weekend.
DLR will have fancy this, Eileen, won't they?
Yeah, they got a result against them. It was the first game of the season. DLR. So I think when you've got a result, there's nothing to fear. Like, obviously, look, you're going to Tala and it's a hard place to go to, but DLR have proved time and time again that they're capable of putting it up to anybody. So yeah, no, I don't think they'll fear much. But yeah, you would imagine Rovers will be looking to maybe wrong a few rights.
Or right a few wrongs.
In their performance. Whichever way you want to put it, really. Do you know?
Yeah, actually, and I did mention her when we were summing up. Aisling Meehan is some player for her age. Like, she's class. I know you don't want to be putting pressure on young kids, but she's serious talent.
The other thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Shamrock Rovers Sligo Rovers game is that was the first game this season in which Sligo had conceded first, that they took a point from the game. So they had conceded first in 12 games, lost all 12. Goal difference was monumental. It was minus 30 something in those 12 games. But yesterday they did get a point, having conceded the first goal. So fair play to them. Right, we'll move on. Saturday, 2:00, Talca Park. Shelbourne versus Cork City. FAI Cup semi-final. Unfortunately for us City fans, it's tough to see it ending any other way other than Shelbourne advancing to a final, John.
What are you talking about?
What are you on about?
Okay,
we're obviously going to win.
You can live in Cuckoo Land if you want, but I'm not going to join you.
Pearl's suspended, isn't she?
She is suspended, yes. Yeah.
No Pearl, no party.
Yeah, we're going to win. Kylie 3-0. I know. Yeah, look, it's obviously it's the drive you would have wanted to avoid. Shell's bad enough, but Shell's away even worse. But look, City were organised and solid. Against Wexford, it wasn't a brilliant game, but it was important to get something out of it after the previous few weeks. And the other thing is, Freya Demond said it in the brilliant programme for the game on Saturday, that they have they're nothing to lose, complete underdogs. There's no expectation whatsoever on City, so that might even help a little bit. I don't think in any 90-minute period, cup semi-final, I hope it's a close, tight game anyway, and the longer City can stay in it, the better. Sorry to any Shells fans listening, but I obviously want City to win. But it's going to be a tough order. Shells are best team in the league at the moment, I think, and strong favourites.
Oh, I don't know, they're the best team in the league. Athlone are really, really impressive. Athlone are really, really impressive, as are Galway.
Yeah, I still think Shells are the best team. I know they might not win the league, but I think they're the standout team this year.
Don't you dare come on here after the league finishes and say, if Shelburne don't win the league, and say Shelburne were the best team of the league. The league table does not lie. That is my Bible. So I'm not going to leave you away with that one. Eileen, John's already said
if
it.
Athlone win the league, clearly, if Athlone win the league, clearly I will come back and say Athlone were the best team in the league. But I think right now, I think Shelburne are I don't think anybody would want to play Shelburne. I don't think the league will go down at the last game between Athlone and Galway, because I think Shells will beat Galway. But anyway, that's me just
interesting
chatting
we'll
away
cover that.
and not talking about the FA Cup semi-final
next week, is it? Eileen, John said it there. City just have to keep themselves in the game for as long as possible. That has to be the number one priority, number one goal, as Sligo Rovers did in Tala on Saturday. That's kind of your base plan, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that has to be the case, because we just always give them head starts and they don't need head starts. And I suppose we capitulated up in Talca Park really earlier on in the season. Like, it was probably one of our poorer performances. So you have to be solid there. I think it was good to see Groylick come on as a sub, because it's an option if you do keep it tight, that like she's a really good option off the bench late on. But I suppose he probably has a bit of a headache there, because the fact that he kept a clean sheet. But like, if Niamh Cotter is clear to play, and look, she has stitches above her eye, I don't know, will she be? Very hard to leave her out after the season she's had, but at the same time, I think it's very hard to change the side that played against Wexford, because in particular in the first half we could see kind of what they were at as I suppose a counter-attacking side. But yeah, like, we just have to go up and make it difficult. Like, we just can't give them a head start. Instead, like, it's cup semi-final, and I do firmly believe like anything can happen in a cup game, but City have to go up there and believe that they can get a result, and like, that's the big thing. We've never got any result against Shelburne. So like, I think there needs to be a lot of work done on kind of that psychological element of it as well. I think it's unfortunate that it's a away game. I don't think the club have tried to get a bus or anything like that, which might have been a good idea. I was hoping to get up myself, but I can't. But like, it's a hard place to go. But yeah, I think there was positive signs. I was really fearful for the game. Like, Thursday morning, I was thinking about the cup, and I was like, Jesus Christ, at the rate we're conceding goals. But like, Saturday gave me a little bit of hope for how, I suppose, defensively solid we were. So fingers crossed. Look, I'm the eternal optimist. So 3-1 City, no bothers.
More importantly, will Shelburne put Pearl Slattery in the co-commentary chair?
That would be class.
Yeah, do that. Do
that, Shelburne.
Yeah, we know you listen. Put Pearl on co-coms.
There you go. You thank me later. The country can thank me later. John, Eileen has said City will win 3-1. What's your prediction?
We'll win on penalties.
Oh, my nerves won't be able.
After the worst 0-0 draw you've ever seen. I'm anxious
thinking about it.
Yes. Okay. On Sunday, 3:00, Sligo go to Athlone. No, Athlone go to Sligo. Sorry, I got that the wrong way around. No, as we said, the reason they're going there on Sunday is because Sligo's men's team play on Saturday night at home to Dundalk. But if WhatsApp is to be believed, that game isn't going to happen. No, they're not going to move the women's game anyway. But look, before we get into that, I did have a chat with Kieran Kilduff about that game, and he had a couple of interesting points to make about the build-up from the league and the FAI towards these semi-finals and the cup final.
I'm hoping this week is a big week for the league in terms of promoting these semi-finals. I'm seeing on the social medias and stuff like that, the men's league and their fellas writing poems walking down about getting a big occasion for their FAI Cup final. We have a big one coming before it, and I'd like to see, whether it's us, Sligo, Shells, Cork, no matter who's in it, I'd like to see us try to aim for the records there too, because as I said, we're leading into two huge semi-finals, and they are there's only one game in this country that gets put on RTE. I know TG Carr do a great one on the domestic leagues, but it's the cup final, and you'd want to make that a big occasion for whoever's in it. No one's counting their chickens or anything like that. I'm just saying, for whatever team are in it, I'd like to see a push this week and promote these semi-finals and really pushing a cup final as well, because probably last year we had, it's probably the best day of those players' lives that we had in there. And as I said, no matter who gets there this year, I'd like to see a big push now for this, because the players deserve it for all the teams, and we're getting close to it now. It's only a month out, and it's something that I'm probably waiting to see happen. I want to see this being pushed a little bit.
Is it fair to say so that you feel at the moment that job hasn't been done properly by the league?
No, well, look, this is the week of the cup semi-final, so I'm hoping it's this week. I was sitting back last week and I was getting excited looking, because Athlone men's were in the quarterfinals of this year, the FAF Cup, and I was seeing a big push and promotion, and they're looking for big crowds for the cup final and that. And well, we want big crowds for the women's cup final too, which is coming in Tala. Great stadium. Let's see if we can break the records there too. Last year it was probably 3,500. It was still a great occasion. I think we can aim for more. And as I said, whether Cork are in it, whether Sligo are in it, Athlone and Shells, let's get behind it now and push it, because it's a brilliant occasion for whatever team gets there. And our focus is on it now. It's our next game, So that's what I said to the girls in there. Listen, we've done well here, but we're trying to challenge on that front too, and we know how great of an occasion that is after the experience we had last year. And I want to be bigger and better this year if we're in it, and even if we're not, I still would like to see a big push for some finish in the league front. But what a game for Sligo, what a game for Cork, what a game for Shells and ourselves next weekend. That occasion that you're playing for, that prize, that day out you get, that's really what it's all about too. So I don't know which one I choose, because we had such a great experience last year. But no, we're challenging all fronts, and it's hotting up nicely now.
Kieran is looking for the league to launch into a massive promotion of the two semi-finals this week, and then in turn of the final afterwards. John, he's going to be massively disappointed again, isn't he?
He might be as deluded as Eileen and I about the Shells Cork City match, to be honest. He's right though. It's an absolutely fantastic. It's an absolutely fantastic day, and it should be treated as the FAI should be out trying to get Tala sold out. I mean, I was up to it last year. We brought 30 girls from our local club. They had an absolute ball. We just happened to be sitting in amongst other Athlone fans, so they all started cheering for Athlone. Nothing to do with me. But at the end of the game, the Athlone players came over, and it was like hero worship. They were after winning the cup. They had the cup out there. It's a fantastic day, and like Kieran said, there's the pinnacle of some of the players' lives. Some people probably find out about it by accident, because it'll start being advertised on RTE 3 days before the match is on. It's a joke. He's right in what he's saying, but it won't happen.
No, it won't happen. Well, yeah, I'd be stunned if it did happen. But Kieran has his views on these things, and he's not afraid to express them, which is very important, because he's a big voice for the league. And I hope what he wishes to happen does happen, but I have absolutely no faith that it will. On the pitch, Eileen, do you expect to see Athlone on Cup Final Day in Tala?
Yeah, I do, to be honest. I know Sligo were good at the weekend and are definitely improving. And look, they've been very, very good in the Cup as well. But I just think Athlone will have a little bit too much for them, and I think the know-how of how to get there as well is a big thing. It kind of, not that, look, there's still pressure on these events. It still is a cup semi-final, so it's always a big event, but kind of been there and done that, I think it's huge for Athlone. And obviously, look, said they're a bit of a juggernaut as well at the moment. Form-wise, they're flying, and even individually form-wise, I think they're flying. So yeah, I do fancy Athlone to win it, but I don't think it'll be maybe as straightforward as I might have thought if you'd asked me last week. I do think Sligo will put it up to them.
It's a massive ask of Sligo, John, isn't it? It's a bigger ask of Sligo as it is of Cork City going to Talca Park.
Yeah, I was actually just going to make the same point. Both semi-finals are really similar in that there's a very strong favourite for a team that's doing really, really well against a team that have had a good draw this weekend against a stronger side, but coming off the back of a run of disappointing results and leaking a lot of goals. But Sligo were good against Rovers, but they're not playing Rovers next weekend. Athlone are the second best team in the country at the moment.
I'm not biting. We're an hour and a half in now. I am not biting on that one. Okay, so are we all saying that Athlone win this game in normal time, or is there anybody going to plump for a bit of extra time?
I go normal time.
Yeah,
2-1.
I think normal time as well.
Okay, cool. We might as well hear from Roisin Malloy on this cup game before we pack everything in for the night.
Yeah, it's huge. We've been in the cup final the last 2 years, so we definitely want to get back there, but we know that there's a massive game ahead of us. Like in Sligo, they'll definitely be putting it up to us. I've seen they drew with Shamrock Rovers today in Tala, so that just shows how good they are and how much of a challenge it's going to be for us, and we're definitely going to have to be on it to get through to the final. And yeah, just all focused on that now for the next week.
Listen, thanks a million for your time and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
Just very quickly on that, this would be Athlone's third cup final on the bounce, John. I mean, fair achievement if they make it.
Oh, yeah, it'd be huge. Would it not be the third Shells Athlone final in a row as well?
It would be, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully Cork City spoiled that party. But no, they've been two cracking cup finals and two very well matched sides. It would be a worthy showcase, and hopefully it doesn't happen.
It would remind you the time that...
Sorry to everybody at Shells. Sorry.
It would remind you the time that Cork City played 4 cup finals in a row. I just can't remember who they played.
Yeah.
Who was it? It was like... I don't know. It's like
no, I don't know.
I don't know.
I remember winning.
It wasn't be around anymore or something. I don't know. I can't remember anyway. Let's hit a bit of Jamaican Postman Pat very quickly.
That seems very long.
Postman Pat, and in black and white cat. The cat makes race. Early in the morning, one bag of man is yawning. Him pick up all of the postbag in him hand. My real bag.
Okay, that's enough for Postman Pat now for tonight.
Has this podcast been about 5 hours?
I thought we were done. Yeah. I forgot about the
very long.
Just not much.
People have turned off. People have turned off.
Relax. That's fine. They'll turn it back on again. They love us. John, they can't get enough. They want 4-hour podcasts. I genuinely thought this could be a 3-hour podcast when I was cutting up all the audio. I genuinely thought it could get to 3 hours. I'm proud of myself. I got through it so quickly. John, you've already answered this question, but where do you see Galway dropping points, if at all, between now and the end of the season? 9 away goals in a week. It seems they've hit their stride for the run-in.
It'll be Shells if it's anyone. But look, to be honest, they could go 100% for the rest of the year. To be honest, look, they're a special side as well. I don't know. It's really interesting. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know. They're the third best side of the league at the moment. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We've been at this too long. Can we just wrap it up?
You said 10 minutes ago Shelburne would win at David DC's Park. I think this one's for you. Are League of Ireland teams just feeder clubs for clubs in England when it comes to losing their best talent with little to no reward for the Irish clubs?
We lost you there, but I think I got the question. I think we're not a professional league here, so there's an inevitability that players are going to move abroad. Are we going to change to a full-time league or a semi-professional league? We don't have a football industry. There's no funding. There's no money in the women's game really here, so I can't see it happening. So unfortunately, a bit like the men's game, like you can't hold people back from good opportunities to play and try to make a living from football. So unfortunately, at the moment, it does appear to be that our best players are going to go and play professionally abroad.
Final question. It's a 2-parter. I'm going to take the second part myself if you don't mind, so I'll throw the first part to you guys. Are you ever genuinely surprised by the welcome you receive across the league grounds?
It's genuinely, completely and utterly baffling to me that people actually listen to this. Like, we're probably, any week that they listen to it and that they message us and anything like that. It's humbling because, like, I literally adore this league and I adore women's sport, and I'm humbled that you've given me an opportunity to come on and talk about it in the first place, but that people actually listen is, it has said, it's mind-blowing to me. And if someone actually has pajamas, is even more mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. It is mental, John, isn't it, that people listen to the shit we talk about, that they, take on board at times suggestions that we make, that people just seem to love the podcast and it works. I mean, if you actually sat down and thought about it, you'd blow your own head. Like, it's mental.
I choose not to think about it and to still do it as though no one listens to it, because the idea that people, I like the imposter syndrome is too huge if I actually think about that, to be honest. People are fantastic, and it's great that they're so nice about it. When Megan Smith Lynch and Pearl Slattery were going on about the covers that Wayne does for the images, I was kind of there going, Jesus, people are actually really paying attention to this stuff, and then I had to have a sit down and go, God, I need to shut up and let Eileen talk more, because, like I said, imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that's the thing. I always say the best thing about the Toe Tap podcasts and productions are the covers. If you sit down and look at them carefully, they're full of eggs. There's little references to different things and whatnot. You just have to look for them to find them, Scotty's a genius. The second part of this question, as I said, I'll take this if you don't mind. Have Las Damas thought of sponsoring a team or stream, etc., for a League of Ireland women's team next season? So this was from Ian Crowley. Ian, all I'll say to you, sir, is don't be surprised if next season it's called the Las Damas All Ireland We Don't Give a Cup. And we move on from there. Just don't be surprised. That's all I say.
The winning team have to wear sombreros when they're collecting the trophy.
Yeah, obviously the finals in Turner's Cross, and all draws for rounds will be done on a Monday afternoon in the Bridge Bar in Mallow, right in the middle of Monday Club, so we can take it from there. All other suggestions are more than welcome. We'll give it a toe tap spin for all its incredulity. So guys, that's it, I think. Anything else? Eileen, anything you need to get off your chest this week? Anybody you need to say hello to? Shout outs? The platform's all yours now.
No, nothing this week. My mind is empty.
Amazing.
The 2 hours they've drained me. I'm emotionally drained.
Stop.
I need to put on my Roisin Millie pyjamas and just go to bed.
I was physically drained before we started, but now I'm full of sprite in life, so I might go watch some NFL or something for an hour before I go to bed. Guys, listen, again, we're all very humble. We thank you all for listening, for sticking with us. It's been a little bit long, but when we do get the audio from people in the league, we're not going to not play it, so again, appreciate everybody. Roisin Malloy, Dominic Foley, Kieran Kilduff, everybody at Treaty United, Kylie Murphy, the footpad outside Turner's Cross, everybody who looked after us this week. And we will be back next week to get stuck into the last 3 weeks of the league season and to review the 2 cup semi-finals, which will see Cork City and Sligo Rovers playing Tala for the FAI Cup. Something to look forward to. Adios.
Los Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast with Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.